This podcast is brought to you by HealthRangerStore.com. Lab-tested, clean foods and supplements for immune function, long-term storage, and survival applications. Every purchase helps fund this free speech video platform. Thank you for your support. Your survival food isn't really food, probably, unless you've stored the right kind of survival food. That's the topic today. I'm Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger, food scientist, founder of CWC Labs, a forensic food analysis laboratory, and author of the book Food Forensics. And I've seen this year, because of the pandemic and the coming civil war, it seems, a lot of people buying storable food. But most of the companies selling storable food aren't selling food. They're selling a shadow of real food. And in order to understand that, you got to understand, what is it that makes food food? And there are really three components to food that your body needs. Number one, of course, is calories. You need calories, you need energy. Carbohydrates from plants, for the most part. You don't want simple sugars and refined sugars like corn syrup or corn syrup solids. There's a lot of that in storable food. But you do need carbohydrates and fruit sugars, for example, in order to power your blood glucose, which powers your brain. And storable food companies do provide plenty of calories. But as it turns out, that's the only thing they provide. The second component of food is minerals, including macro minerals and trace minerals. And minerals cannot be created by plants. Minerals have to be absorbed through the roots, brought in from the soil. Minerals include things like magnesium or selenium, or trace minerals like zinc or molybdenum, for example. So there are macro minerals and trace minerals. Plants cannot create them, and they hardly exist at all in processed food. Minerals are very high in organic foods and superfoods, and minimally processed plant-based foods. Some minerals are also very high in animal products, such as iron and calcium and magnesium, for example. Those are all minerals, okay? And meats are good sources of those kinds of minerals. But plants are good sources of trace minerals that you need as well, such as chromium, for example, which helps stabilize blood sugar, or zinc, which is necessary for your immune system to function. Got to have zinc. Or, did you ever think about selenium is important for detoxing your body, for your liver to function well and eliminate toxins? Or that zinc is important for wound healing. For example, you can't heal skin wounds without zinc. Did you know that? A lot of people really don't know that. And yet the processed food that they purchase come from non-organic farms that don't put any minerals into the soil, except NPK. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. That's it. NPK, those are the fertilizers. And that's what grows plants that are a shadow of real food. So if you're buying like typical processed storable food, you're buying wheat that's grown with only NPK, or corn, usually genetically modified corn, grown with NPK. But it lacks the magnesium, it lacks the zinc, it lacks the selenium, the chromium, all these other important minerals that are part of what your body actually needs in order to function. So minerals have to be present for your body to function because they're catalysts. They're catalysts for the various enzymatic reactions in your body's cells. And if you've ever had chronic fatigue or wounds that won't heal, or just a sense of lethargy, just total lack of energy, it's often because you're mineral deficient in trace minerals. And this is also, by the way, why plants thrive when they're grown in a little bit of ocean water. Plants can actually handle the salinity of the salt, of ocean water, but the trace minerals of ocean water, they make plants grow like crazy. That's why when there is a tidal wave or a tsunami that floods an inland coastal area and deposits ocean water on the farmlands, the next season's crop is amazing. It's amazing because it's got ocean minerals in it. The plants love it. They grow better. I mean, some farmers even use ocean water as a kind of treatment of trace minerals onto the plants. In fact, if you're growing sprouts in a survival scenario, and I recommend you do, and by the way, I'm launching a survival nutrition ebook free of charge. You can download the entire ebook, talks about all of this. That's going to be at survivalnutrition.com, coming out September 30th. Free download of the MP3 files and a PDF transcript. I cover all of this through many hours of instruction about food science for survival purposes. But if you're going to sprout seeds as a survival strategy, you should have some ocean water concentrate or some like Himalayan salt that's got trace minerals in it, or other forms of trace minerals such as the Dead Sea salts and trace mineral supplements that you can feed into your sprouts so that your sprouts absorb those minerals, and then when you eat the sprouts, you've got minerals. Now again, most of the processed storable food that's sold all across the country lacks these minerals for the most part, and that's why it's not real food. But the third category of what makes food is even more important. Now, so far, remember, we've covered number 1, calories, and number 2, minerals. That's 2 out of the 3. The third part is medicinal molecules, or what we might call vitamins, or more appropriately, phytochemicals. P-H-Y-T-O, phyto, meaning of plant origin. Phytochemicals. These are nutrients that have medicinal properties. They are the anti-cancer components found in broccoli, for example, the sulforaphane. They are the anti-diabetes components found in cinnamon bark. They are the anti-cancer and anti-inflammation components found in turmeric root, for example, or the antiviral components of oregano or basil. Now, the thing to understand about these phytochemicals or medicinal molecules is that they are synthesized by food crops or herbs. They're synthesized by the plant. They're not absorbed from the soil. They're not taken out of the air. Plants absorb minerals from soil, as we said, and plants will take carbon dioxide out of the air and water through their roots and so on. But these phytochemicals are synthesized by the plant. And most of these phytochemicals are made primarily of 3 elements: hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, HCO, in different configurations. For example, I've talked about this before in some of my lab science videos, but if you combine H, C, and O in a certain format, you can make cannabinoids, or you can make progesterone, a hormone, or you can make vitamin C. It's the same 3 elements, just rearranged. And so when a hemp plant grows, and you wonder, well, where does the cannabidiol, the CBD, where does it come from? The plant makes it. The plant makes it. It synthesizes it from H, C, and O. And it gets the C from the air, by the way, which is why plants need carbon dioxide, because they have to have a source of carbon, obviously, to make carbon-based molecules. But these are the molecules that keep you alive. These are the molecules that prevent infections. These are the molecules that are anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, anti-heart disease. These are the molecules that protect brain function. These have anti-inflammatory effects. These will keep you alive and healthy. These molecules do not provide calories. They will not power your day in terms of physical exertion. That comes from carbohydrates or fats, let's say. But these molecules, these medicinal synthesized molecules, which include vitamin C, as I mentioned, and many other vitamins, these are absolutely crucial for you to live. Without these, you will die. And these are what's lacking in most storable food. They have almost no vitamin C. They have almost no plant-based nutrients. They have almost no natural pigmentation. That's why nearly all processed storable food looks like blah. It's just bland. It's maybe beige colored or off-white colored. They'll add in artificial colors. Here's some yellow coloring to make it look like chicken soup or cheese soup or macaroni and cheese. It's all artificial color because the real color has been processed out, leaving behind empty calories, as we say. Empty calories. Can you live on Pop-Tarts alone? Not for long. Can you live on, cornflakes? Not for long. Can you live on just sugar, donuts, white bread? Nope, not for long. You'll die from diseases like diabetes and cancer and heart disease and so on. Why? Because you're lacking the minerals and the molecules, the plant-based molecules. They are missing from most storable food. And this is why storable food companies measure their foods in only one metric: calories, because that's all they provide, calories. If food had to be measured in terms of what it actually provides, holistic nutrition, phytochemicals, anti-cancer molecules, minerals, including trace minerals, in addition to just calories, then most storable food products would be rejected by consumers because they would recognize, hey, these are not even really complete foods. It's not food. Not going to keep you alive. And to call them survival foods is misleading because they aren't. They're just empty calories. These are the same types of empty calorie foods that have led America to become a nation of overfed but undernourished people. People who are obese but still suffer from chronic mineral deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies. How is that possible? How can you eat so much food that you weigh 350 pounds, but you're still deficient in the things that count? Well, that's possible by consuming processed food that's missing the real nutrients that make it real food. And by the way, this is why obese people are always hungry. The body is telling them to eat. You know why? Because the body's signaling them and saying, please find a source of minerals. Please find a source of vitamins and molecules from plants. Find a source. So the brain tells the body, eat, 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 eat. And so the person's running around eating more and more empty food. And so they keep packing on the pounds, but they're never satiated. They never feel like they've eaten enough because they're never getting the minerals that the body is craving. Suddenly it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I gave up drinking soda. I'm trying to think about how many years ago it was, 25 years ago. I forgot the exact, maybe it was 20 years ago. I had consumed soda most of my life, some amount, and I gave it up because I was hypoglycemic, and this is what got me into nutrition in the first place. And I did some research about liquid sugars and drinking sugar in beverages and so on, and I came to understand that, wow, there was this link between what I was consuming and the fact that I was having, blood sugar swings. And so I gave up soda. And I don't remember the exact day it was, but I turned to better nutrition. And this is what ultimately led to me launching Natural News. Now, 17 plus years ago, was this personal journey into health and then sharing that information with other people. But since I gave up soda, I have never craved it, ever. Not once. Not one day, not one time have I ever craved soda, even though I was drinking it quite a bit in college, for example. I never craved it. Why? Because I started eating other things that my body was telling me it needed. I started getting the nutrients that we need in order to stay healthy. And the reason I mention this is because a lot of people who are purchasing this processed storable food, when it comes time to actually rely on that food in a food crisis, let's say, they're going to find that they never feel satiated, always hungry, feel like they're starving. You know why? Because you are starving. Your body is starving of the nutrients that are supposed to be found in food, but are not present in most processed storable food or survival food, because it's not really food. It's just empty calories, and that's not food. So a lot of people may just eat through their food supply more quickly than ever, just blowing through all the calories, and they may actually get more fat in a survival collapse scenario because they're hungry all the time. They're eating through their processed food supply, never getting the nutrients they need, so their body never calms down and says, oh, I'm satiated. I've got the nutrients that I need to function. Whereas if you wanted to have a food supply that lasted a long period of time, that was actually sustainable, it would be nutrient rich. It would be organic foods or superfoods loaded with minerals, loaded with natural medicinal molecules, where you can eat very little, relatively speaking, and get fully nourished. And when you eat those kinds of foods, then your body knows that it's getting the nutrients it needs, the minerals it needs. So don't be fooled by fake food. You know how we have an environment of fake news right now? There's also fake food. Get real food, nourishing food, which is organic food and superfood, if you want to survive at all. You're going to have real food with minerals and plant molecules. Otherwise, you're just going to end up eating garbage processed shadow of a food, and you're not going to survive very long. Certainly not in a healthy fashion. But thank you for listening. This is Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. Watch for my upcoming course. survivalnutrition.com is the website. It's a free downloadable ebook with transcript. Thank you for listening. A global reset is coming, and that's why I've recorded a new 9-hour audiobook. It's called The Global Reset Survival Guide. You can download it for free by subscribing to the NaturalNews.com email newsletter, which is also free. I'll describe how the monetary system fails. I also cover emergency medicine and first aid and what to buy to help you avoid infections. So download this guide. It's free. It's my gift to you simply because I want like-minded people to survive.